can bring your dreams to life. Introduction. The Path to Your Evolution. Welcome, friend. It's no coincidence you've picked up this book. Something inside you knows there's more joy, more purpose, more potential. Maybe you've tried the whole new year, new me thing before. Maybe you've made bold promises to yourself, only to feel stuck a few weeks in. Let's change that. This isn't about resolutions that fade faster than leftover champagne bubbles. It's about evolution, becoming the kind of person who doesn't just dream big but lives big by showing up consistently in small, intentional ways. Why evolution instead of resolution? Resolutions often fail because they hinge on willpower alone. And let's be real, willpower is overrated. Think about it. How many times have you set a goal, only to feel defeated when life inevitably got messy? It's not your fault. The truth is, change doesn't come from dramatic leaps. It comes from tiny, steady steps that stack over time. Here's the thing. Evolution isn't about perfection. It's about progress. It's not about overhauling your life overnight, but layering small, meaningful habits until they transform you from the inside out. The secret sauce. Micro-stacking and journaling. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how the little things can either build you up or tear you down? A single push-up may not feel like much, but add one more each day, and by the end of a month, you've built strength. Now imagine pairing that with journaling, a simple act of writing down your thoughts, tracking your actions, and aligning your energy. Suddenly, you're not just winging it, you're designing your life with clarity and intention. Micro-stacking is all about starting small, so small it feels laughably easy. But here's the magic. Those small actions compound. They create momentum. And before you know it, you're doing things you once thought were impossible. Journaling ties it all together. It's where reflection meets action. It's your mirror, compass, and map all rolled into one. By writing things down, you anchor your goals and track your progress. You turn vague wishes into concrete steps. The blend of science and spirituality now. Here's where it gets exciting. This isn't just feel-good fluff. Neuroscience backs it up. Small habits rewire your brain, creating new neural pathways that make change feel natural over time. It's like programming your mind to work for you, not against you. But we're not stopping at science. There's a spiritual layer here too. When you take aligned action, you signal to the universe, or God, source, whatever resonates with you, that you're ready for more. And the universe? It shows up for you. Doors open. Opportunities flow. You've heard the phrase, energy flows where attention goes, right? Journaling and micro-stacking channel your focus. They help you shift from wishing for change to actively co-creating it. Your call to action. So here's the deal. 2025 can be the year everything changes. Not because you force it, but because you become it. All it takes is a commitment to show up for yourself in the tiniest of ways. Are you ready to make this year your turning point? To align with the version of you who doesn't just chase dreams but lives them? You don't need to have it all figured out today. You just need to take the first step. This is your evolution. It's time to step into your highest potential. One tiny, intentional action at a time. Let's get started. Part 1. The core concept that can make the difference. You're here because you're ready for something different. Something that works. Not just in January when the excitement of resolutions is fresh, but throughout the entire year and beyond. Part 1 is where it all begins. We're diving into the foundational ideas that make this book more than just another guide to setting goals. So, what makes this different? 2 things. Micro-stacking and journaling. These aren't just tools. They're transformative practices that bridge the gap between dreaming big and living big. They're the secret sauce to turning those fleeting New Year's resolutions into lasting evolution. Here's the thing. Change doesn't come from one big leap. It comes from the tiny, consistent actions you take every single day. Those small habits you barely notice, they're shaping your future. That's the power of micro-stacking. Layering those habits to create unstoppable momentum. And journaling, it's your personal GPS. It helps you track progress, adjust your course, and stay aligned with what truly matters. Together, these practices don't just help you reach your goals. They help you evolve into the person you've always wanted to be. This part of the book is all about setting the stage. You'll learn the science behind change, why traditional resolutions fail, and how prioritizing the right actions can unlock your potential. By the end of Part 1, you'll have a rock-solid foundation to build on. Ready to evolve? Let's do this. Chapter 1. The Science of Change. All right, let's kick things off by talking about something truly mind-blowing. Your brain. Yep, the thing between your ears is a total powerhouse, and it's one of the best tools you've got for creating change. If you're ready to make 2025 the year everything shifts, you need to understand how the brain works when it comes to habit formation. Let's dive in. Neuroscience and neuroplasticity. Your brain's superpower. You've probably heard of neuroplasticity, but let's break it down in simple terms. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to rewire itself. Think of it like software updates for your mind. Every time you learn something new or take an action, no matter how small, you're literally creating new neural pathways. Imagine this. Every thought you have, every action you take, sends signals through your brain. These signals travel along pathways, and the more often you follow the same route, the stronger those pathways get. It's like walking a trail in the woods. The first time you walk down it, the path's kind of hard to see. But over time, as you walk it more, the trail gets clearer, wider, and easier to follow. Your brain works the same way. This is the magic behind habits. The more you repeat an action, the easier it becomes for your brain to execute that action without you even thinking about it. This isn't just wishful thinking either, it's science. Your brain physically changes. You can rewire it to think, act, and feel in new, empowering ways. The role of repetition. Reprogramming your brain. Here's the kicker. Repetition is the key. You've heard the phrase, practice makes perfect, right? Well, the brain is a big fan of repetition. It strengthens neural pathways through consistent actions, making behaviors feel almost automatic. It's like muscle memory, but for your mind. Let's take a real-world example. Say you've decided to get into a morning meditation practice. The first time you sit down, your mind is racing. You're uncomfortable, and maybe you start doubting yourself. But the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Your brain starts to recognize, okay, this is what we do in the mornings. Your body and mind start working together, and soon, you'll find yourself looking forward to that quiet time. This is the power of repetition. The more you repeat something, the more ingrained it becomes. Eventually, what felt difficult becomes second nature. Micro-stacking. Small actions, big impact now. Let's talk about micro-stacking. This is where the magic happens, and it's one of the simplest yet most powerful ways to create lasting change. Instead of trying to make huge changes all at once, which, let's be honest, is overwhelming, micro-stacking is about building habits in the smallest, most manageable increments. Think of it like this. Instead of saying, I'm going to work out for an hour every day starting tomorrow, you might start by saying, I'll do 1 push-up every morning. 1 push-up. Sounds ridiculous, right? But here's the thing. That tiny action, when done every day, begins to create a new neural pathway. Your brain starts saying, oh, okay, this is something we're doing now. The beauty of micro-stacking is that it doesn't require a massive time commitment, and it doesn't feel overwhelming. You're stacking small habits on top of each other over time, and that leads to big results. It's like building a house, brick by brick. At first, you might not see much, but every tiny habit you add strengthens the foundation. And before you know it, you've built something solid. Here's how it works. Start small. Pick one tiny action you can do every day, something that feels almost too easy. Stack it. Add this habit to something you already do regularly. For example, if you already brush your teeth every morning, add 1 minute of stretching right after. Repeat. Keep going every day. The consistency will slowly turn this small action into something automatic, and soon, you won't even have to think about it. The power of tiny changes. Here's the kicker. It's not about what you do once in a while. It's about what you do every day. Small, consistent actions are what create change. And with micro-stacking, you don't have to overwhelm yourself with a giant to-do list. It's all about starting with one small thing and layering them on top of each other. In the coming chapters, you'll see how this works in action with journaling, tracking, and aligning your actions with your highest goals. But for now, just know this. Your brain is ready to change. It's waiting for you to give it the right signals. So, what's one tiny habit you can start stacking today? Start small, make it easy, and commit to repeating it every day. This is the beginning of your evolution. Ready to get started? Let's do this. Chapter 2. The philosophy of micro-stacking. You know how they say, Rome wasn't built in a day. Well, neither is the life you're dreaming of. The secret to getting there isn't in grand gestures or massive overnight transformations. It's in the small, consistent actions you take every single day. Welcome to the philosophy of micro-stacking, where the tiniest steps lead to the biggest results. How tiny actions compound into life-changing results. Think of micro-stacking like planting seeds. When you plant one tiny seed, it doesn't seem like much at first, right? But over time, with a little water and sunlight, it starts to sprout. Then it grows, and eventually, it becomes a strong tree. The same thing happens with your habits. Here's a truth bomb. Small actions don't stay small. They build momentum. Each tiny step you take creates a ripple effect in your life. Miss a day? No big deal. What matters is that you keep showing up. With consistency, those small actions compound, leading to results that feel almost magical. But they're not magic. They're the natural outcome of your effort. Let's take a relatable example. Imagine saving $1 a day. That doesn't feel life-changing, right? But at the end of a year, that's $365. 5 years? Over $1,800. That's how tiny actions work. They snowball. And when it comes to your health, relationships, career, or any goal, the same principle applies. Real-life examples of transformation through micro-stacking. The fitness turnaround. Meet Sarah. She wanted to run a marathon but felt completely overwhelmed by the idea. Instead of going all in on a rigorous training plan, she started small, really small. Day 1, she put on her running shoes and walked around the block. Day 2, she jogged for 1 minute. By the end of the month, she was running a mile without stopping. Fast forward a year, she crossed that marathon finish line. The productivity boost. Then there's Alex, who struggled with productivity at work. He didn't overhaul his entire routine. He started with a single micro habit, writing down his top 3 tasks for the day before starting work. That one habit created clarity, and over time, it led to bigger changes like better time management and tackling major projects with ease. The relationship glow up. Finally, there's Emma, who wanted a stronger connection with her partner. Instead of trying to plan elaborate date nights every week, which never seemed to happen, she started with one micro habit, sending her partner a text every morning telling them one thing she appreciated about them. That small act sparked deeper communication and a renewed sense of love between them. What do all these stories have in common? Tiny actions. That's the power of micro-stacking. Practical ideas for micro habits in key areas. Let's make this real for you. Here are some simple micro habits you can start stacking in different areas of your life. Health. Drink a glass of water first thing in the morning. Stretch for 1 minute before bed. Swap one sugary snack for a piece of fruit each day. Productivity. Spend 5 minutes each evening planning the next day. Clear one small item off your desk daily. Write down one thing you're grateful for before starting work. Relationships. Compliment someone once a day. Check in with a loved one via text or call every evening. Take 5 minutes to actively listen during a conversation. No interruptions or distractions. Personal growth. Read 1 page of a book every day. Write down 1 positive affirmation in your journal. Meditate for 30 seconds and build from there. These habits might sound ridiculously small, but that's the point. When something feels easy, you're more likely to stick with it. And when you stick with it, change happens. Why micro-stacking works. Here's why this method is so effective. It's easy to start. There's no pressure. Small habits don't feel intimidating, so you're less likely to procrastinate. It builds confidence. Every small win boosts your belief in yourself. As your confidence grows, so does your willingness to take on bigger challenges. It creates momentum. Success breeds success. One small action leads to another, and before you know it, you're unstoppable. Your first step. So, what's the one tiny habit you can start today? Don't overthink it. Choose something small and doable. Remember, the goal isn't perfection, it's progress. Start planting those seeds, and trust that with time, consistency, and care, you'll grow something extraordinary. This is the foundation of your New Year evolution. Tiny changes, big results. Let's keep going. You've got this. Chapter 3. Why traditional resolutions fail. Let's be real for a second. How many New Year's resolutions have you made, only to forget about them by February? You're not alone. Most people start the year with good intentions, big goals, and maybe even a shiny new planner. But by the time the gym clears out and that planner collects dust, they're left wondering, what went wrong? The good news? It's not your fault. The bad news? Traditional resolutions are set up to fail. Let's unpack why and what you can do differently to make 2025 your year of unstoppable progress. The psychology of willpower first. Let's talk about willpower. Everyone treats it like some superpower, but here's the catch. Willpower is limited. Imagine it like a battery. Every decision you make throughout the day drains a little more of that charge. By the time evening rolls around, your willpower might be completely zapped, and suddenly, that resolution to eat healthier feels impossible when you're staring down a box of cookies. Sound familiar? Here's the thing. Relying solely on willpower is like trying to drive cross-country on one tank of gas. It's not sustainable. That's why resolutions that depend on sheer discipline, like, I'll work out every day, usually don't stick. What works better? Systems. Systems don't rely on willpower. They work because they create habits, automatic behaviors that require zero decision-making. When something becomes a habit, you don't need to try anymore. You just do. Shift from goals to systems. Most resolutions fail because they're focused on what instead of how. Think about it. Goals are outcomes. They're the finish line. But what gets you to the finish line? The process, the system. Here's an example. Goal: I want to lose 20 pounds. System: I'll prepare healthy meals on Sundays and take a 10-minute walk after dinner every night. See the difference? The goal gives you direction, but the system is what gets you there. Goals are exciting, but systems are effective. When you focus on the process instead of the result, something amazing happens. You stop stressing about how far you have to go and start celebrating the small wins along the way. That's where real transformation begins. Reframing failure. Let's talk about the F word, failure. It's probably one of the biggest reasons people give up on resolutions. They skip a workout, binge watch TV instead of working on that side hustle, or eat an entire pizza instead of sticking to their meal plan. And then they think, well, I blew it. Might as well give up. Sound familiar? Here's the truth. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of it. Think of failure as feedback. Every time something doesn't go according to plan, it's an opportunity to learn. Missed a workout? Maybe your plan was too ambitious. Try scaling back to something more manageable. Ate the pizza? Maybe you need to plan a treat meal into your week so you don't feel deprived. The only real failure is quitting altogether. Everything else? It's just part of the process. What to do instead? Here's how you can ditch the resolution guilt trip and set yourself up for success in 2025. Start small. Pick one tiny habit to focus on. Remember, micro-stacking is all about building momentum. Build a system. Don't just focus on the end goal. Create a repeatable process that makes progress inevitable. Embrace the messiness. Some days won't go as planned, and that's okay. Use those moments as feedback to tweak your system. The big shift. Here's what I want you to take away. Resolutions fail because they're built on shaky foundations. Willpower, unrealistic expectations, and a fear of failure. But when you focus on small, consistent actions, supported by systems that work for you, everything changes. So let's make a deal. This year, don't obsess over the big, shiny goal at the end of the road. Focus on the tiny steps you can take today. Trust the process, and let 2025 be the year you finally evolve into the person you've always known you could be. You ready? Let's keep going.